Good evening. I'd like to convene the Lake Forest City Council meeting October 1st, 2013. And with that, I'd like to, City Attorney, we have closed session.
There was no reportable action taken, Mayor.
Invocation will be led by Councilman Dwight Robinson this evening.
God, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for this opportunity for us to all come together and focus on making our city better. I ask that you give us wisdom, give us guidance, help us to passionately debate those things that we're so passionate about, but understand that we're all focused on the same thing, which is to make Lake Forest a better place. I ask all these things in your name. Amen.
And Pledge of Allegiance will be by me. Let us stand so we might pledge allegiance to the greatest symbol of freedom in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That brings us to the public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the City Council regarding any item within the subject matter of the City Council. No action may be taken. Oh, I'm sorry. Our El Toro student liaison. I forgot to, and they've been having such a great time. Go Chargers. Come on.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Jeff Dominic from El Toro High School reporting on October 1st, 2013. This past week has been undoubtedly the busiest week for El Toro ASB and students alike. First off, ET girls volleyball team challenged Chabuco Hills High School Tuesday night, and yet again, this rivalry ended in an El Toro victory. Throughout the entire week, students got pumped up for Friday's homecoming football game and Saturday's homecoming dance by dressing up for Dr. Seuss Spirit Days. Monday was Crazy Sock Day, Tuesday, Crazy Hat and Hair Day, Wednesday, Mix Match Day, Thursday was Twin Day, and finally, Friday was Tacky Tourist Day. Each dress-up theme related to one of Dr. Seuss's books or characters. On Wednesday, students enjoyed an extended snack period known as Homecoming Fair. This involved every club on campus selling candies, snacks, and many other goodies. There was also a spin ride for students to participate in, and even a dunk tank to soak the homecoming court. Friday was the highly anticipated homecoming football game. Fans arrived decked out in Charger Freak Show for one of the biggest games of the year. Due to Chargers' hard work, they were able to defeat Villa Park Spartans 42-35. Also during that game, fans witnessed the homecoming halftime show. The show went perfectly, in which Alexis Valenciano, the ASB president, was crowned as El Toro's 2013 Homecoming Queen. The next night was a fantastic homecoming dance known as Homecoming in Whoville. Students enjoyed a fun night full of dancing to awesome music, shave ice, refreshments, cookies, and even a photo booth. The night was topped off with the coronation of our homecoming king. At 9 o'clock, the male court reeled in fishing rods to reveal the king with the red fish, following the Dr. Seuss rhyme, one fish, two fish, red fish, and blue fish, in which El Toro's ASB's own Vice President Javier Porras won the crown. There has been nothing but positive feedback for such a great dance that everyone enjoyed. That's all for tonight. Thank you, and as always, go Chargers.
Congratulations to the Chargers football team and that great comeback. And that brings us to public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the City Council regarding items within the subject matter of the City Council. No action may be taken on items not listed on the agenda unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and an overall time limit of 30 minutes for public comment portion of the agenda. Any person wishing to address the City Council on any matter, whether or not it appears on the agenda, is requested to complete a request to speak blue form available at the side door, and the completed form is to be submitted to the city clerk for Deborah Rose prior to the individual being heard. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, the first speaker is Paula Sigler, followed by Marcia Rudolph.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
And City Council members. I'm Paula Henry. I live at 1 Cheyenne Foothill Ranch. I'm here as one of the impacted homeowners on Cheyenne and Puerto Nuevo of Foothill Ranch to submit a petition to demand an engineering study to be conducted to determine the cause of ground shifting and severe pavement cracking of the asphalt and the damage to the homeowners' properties. This has caused a negative impact on our homeowners' property values. This problem has existed for the past 5 years, and although there has been temporary patching to address the cracking in the pavement, there has been no determination of the cause. This patching has been done on at least 3 to 4 occasions. We would like in this petition, the petition requests that the City Council establish an immediate action plan to determine the cause of the ground shifting, including a geotechnical study and a plan for repair of the damages. We would like the City Council to provide the homeowners a detailed report as to all actions taken by the City Council and the City staff, and to provide and commit to open communication and transparency. We believe that with compliance of the petition's request, that this will lead to a successful and timely resolution of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
No, I've seen a rough draft, but I haven't seen the final petition yet. I'm sure I will.
Marcia Rudolph, followed by Natalie Miles.
Okay, a couple things. Number one thing, when I left the meeting, the last meeting a couple weeks ago, I was kind of disappointed to hear that the mayor wasn't going to the League of California Cities annual conference in Sacramento. And the following day, he was on TV being interviewed, so I'm assuming that's the reason that he decided not to go. As far as vector control is concerned, we're all kind of used to what the vector control triangle symbol looks like. And one of the things that the grand jury directed vector control to do after they did their study of vector control and said, it's a wonderful organization, it's doing a wonderful job, but we'd like to have more outreach. The potential is that you're going to see a different logo for vector control. This is not for sure until the next meeting, which is in a couple of weeks, but it does say on it Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District, which is a little bit different than what it's been known as, and it says protecting the public health since 1947. So you may see this coming up. I'll let you know at the next time if that is what indeed the Board of Directors approves. The other update from Vector Control is we have an old friend back again, and that's the red imported fire ants. I think we all heard quite a bit about it a number of years ago when Todd Spitzer was in his former position on the Board of Supervisors, and he took this and really went with it to make sure that it was taken care of. If you've got these little critters in your yard, you will know because they not only bite, they penetrate. So you can get a bite, or you can get they can get to you two ways. So if you find these little critters in your yard, call Vector Control. It's in the phone book. It's in Garden Grove. Call tell them, report what you've got, and they will send someone out. They have an excellent woman who has our city as part of her territory, and she'll come out and take care of it for you. So that's my report. Till next time, God bless, take care, and go Dodgers.
Natalie Miles, followed by Shelley Covey.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am here from the Orange County Grand Jury to ask that today was the first day for open enrollment for people who would like to be on the grand jury. And I wanted to share with the community the importance of being on the grand jury and submitting an application, because it is a wonderful experience. I am on the 213-214 grand jury, and the application starts today and will go through January of 2014. At that time, at the end of January, people who have submitted their applications will be notified by the court. And so I wanted to let the community know what an invigorating experience it is. We are 19 people working as one, and it's an experience that I cannot start to tell you how enjoyable it is. I've met a lot of nice people. We actually have one octogenarian on the committee this year, of the jury, and everybody comes with different experiences, different backgrounds. We have engineers, we have professors, we have a nurse, people from all walks of life, and everybody giving their input as to what they feel needs to be studied in Orange County to make it better for everybody. So I'm here, and Stephanie was kind enough to tell me what to do so that I could speak tonight, because I didn't know what to do. And I'm going to leave some flyers, and the actual application will be left with Stephanie. The flyers I will leave on the desk at this other side. The flyer has the website. They're asking this year that you apply online, even after you do the application online, because you know we're in a crunch, financial crunch. So if you do it online, you print it off, you still have to get it notarized, and then you mail it in. But they have given limited paper applications, because they want to get people, to use the IT equipment. And for those people who are not computer savvy, you can go to the library, and the librarian will help you. And that's something else that I've learned. So many different IT things, because coming from my field, we have electronic medical records, and we're doing everything electronically. So I've learned to do a lot of things electronically, but you're going to learn a lot of different things, and it's just amazing. So I'm here to ask, please go out and ask people to come and participate, and not sit back and wait for things to be done for them, but to be an active participant in the civil things that are going on here. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'd like to make a notice to you that we as the City of Lake Forest actually have a notary service. So if they wanted to get that notary done, we could actually do it here at the City Hall. And what is the time frame for applications to be turned in?
Okay. It starts now. Today is the first day, October the 1st, and it goes through January the 24th of 2014. And then after
to January.
January the 24th. Earlier the better.
Okay, and could I make? Could you leave one copy with Deborah Rose up at the end?
She has 4.
Okay, all right.
And I'm going to leave the flyer. The flyer has the same information on it, and I'll leave that over at the desk.
Thank you so much for being here.
And
Thanks
thank
for
you
your
for
involvement.
Oh, I'm enjoying it. I'm glad that I was chosen.
I'm glad you were here.
Thank you.
Shelley Covey, followed by Jim Rosenberg.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Shelley Covey. I have lived in Lake Forest literally my whole life. I grew up having dogs in my home and loved them. I got married and we bought a townhome. The market crashed and we found ourselves with a home now worth $100,000 less than what we paid for it. Things start to turn around, and now I find myself in the city I have lived in making a decision that can threaten the biggest investment I've ever made in my life. It is called external obsolescence. Appraisers use this term in regards to noise, odor, and eyesores, meaning airports, toll roads, freeways, and yes, dog parks. We have contacted real estate agents and appraisers, and they have confirmed that this term can be used to devalue your home 5 to 10+%. That means that we may never be able to have any equity in our home because of the City of Lake Forest. Please see page 4 of your packets. This proposed dog park is a great idea, just not at Darren Park. Most dog parks are in commercial areas with AstroTurf. AstroTurf is used because the dog urine kills off grass quickly, leaving ugly, mismanaged dirt. Please see the picture on page 1 of your packet at the upper right. That is a picture a few weeks after a dog park was put in, and the one on the left is after a few months. The Parks and Recreation chose Darren because they said it was an easy startup. But what about maintaining it once the grass starts dying off? That cost alone of trying to save and maintain the grass will be huge, and if not maintained, it will be a major eyesore for the residents and for anybody driving El Toro Road. Then you consider most people will not park in the Darren parking lot because it is next to a child's park, and most don't even know that it is there. They will park in our already limited townhome lots, creating a parking issue along with yet another financial hardship for us. This will come from the foot traffic through our common areas and our hill that separates us from the Greenbelt. Please look at the bottom left page of page 1 and also page 3 of your packet. This traffic would destroy our common area grass and kill the plants on our hill, making our HOA fees have to go up even higher in order to maintain it. The financial threat on the city can get even higher because putting a dog park so close to a child's park is irresponsible. Yes, there are dogs there now, but a dog park will bring dogs in numbers tenfold, which increases the chances of a dog bite. Then you have our common area they will use. When I walk out my door, they will be there, and the chances of my daughter getting bit will increase. This is because many owners will walk their dog off the park to the park off the leash in the small area in front of our homes. This close to where children live is just plain unacceptable. Please see page 3 of your packet to see just how close to our homes this will be. Then let us touch on quality of life. The smell alone will create a trailer park-style living atmosphere, along with the barking from before we wake up to after we go to bed. The beautiful grass that is used for picnics, parties, soccer, and baseball would be destroyed. There will be no buffer zone at all for our homes. Please see page 2 of your packet. Many of us purchased our homes here because of the beautiful green park that is now being threatened. Over 388 units are directly affected. There are so many other options, like Whispering Hills is already a dirt lot that can be easily made into a dog park. This is the best option because it's not near children at all. I'm sure if you do more research, you can find a suitable place, non-child populated for the dog park, that will not financially hurt so many Lake Forest residents. Please think how you would feel if this was going literally behind your house. Think of the smells, the noise, the loss of equity in your home. Please encourage Parks and Recreation to take Darren off the list completely and find another option. We also included a petition for you that we got signed, and we only started that a few days ago, so we can definitely get more signatures. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jim Rosenberg, followed by Patrice Sukett.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, staff.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Thank you. Lake Forest, one of probably the littlest known facts about Lake Forest is that our city actually has a 4-H club, which after living here for decades, I actually found out existed. The reason for standing before you tonight would be to, Deborah, if you could pass those, to make everybody aware that this coming Saturday, the Lake Forest 4-H Club is hosting a chili cook-off over at the Rancho Serrano Creek Stables. It is their big fundraiser event. This is kind of just an open invitation to ask everybody who has the time and the ability or the desire to come, show up. It's in the afternoon. They had their first last year. It was a real fun event. I know, Scott, you were there, a few others. I would like to ask staff to take the flyer maybe upstairs and pin them up in your departments to let people know. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for that notice.
What time is that?
I think it's 5:30 when it starts.
Thank you.
Okay.
Patrice Sukett, followed by Wes Christie.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Good evening.
My name is Patrice Sukett. I'm a homeowner at Hillsford for over 20 years. I would like to ask that you reconsider putting a dog park at Darren Park. I understand the Parks and Rec Department had other parks that they had considered. I believe it was 9 different parks, although they did choose Darren Park as their best location. I believe that a dog park should not be located in a residential area. There's many reasons. Shelley Covey, who spoke earlier, mentioned quite a few of them. Majority of dog parks are located in commercial areas for the reasons that she spoke of. Noise level, dogs barking, parking issues, the smell alone, all of those issues would not be a problem if the dog park was located in a commercial area. I do think that Lake Forest would be beneficial to have a dog park, just not at Darren. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wes Christie, followed by Megan Kirby.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
Good evening.
I also live off Hillsford Place. I became the president board member over there. Big concerns about this. Parking, number one. We already have a lot of issues with parking with sports, which is good. It's for the kids. We're all for it. With that many people bringing their dogs there, it's just going to be a problem all the way around. My building literally faces right where they plan on to put this park. Shelley and Patty said, just not a good idea. We know we need one, just not there. It's just too close to the buildings. Parking is going to be a major issue, and I oppose this. So, thanks for your time.
Thank you. You guys came out in force. Thank you.
Megan Kirby, followed by Dave Hertzberg.
Hello, Mayor and council members. I'm Megan Kirby. I also came out in force. I'm here to talk about the dog park that they're deciding to put it, or talking about putting it at Darren Park. I assisted with the rest of the community members that are here in walking a petition around to different neighbors and discussing this with them. My view, it's personal to me, because literally my living room window would now be a view of the dog park as close as you're possibly sitting to me, Mayor. So I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old daughter, and that's, of course, we use that park constantly along with many other children in the area to play, just to play, and now it's going to be a numerous amount of dogs. Obviously, they mentioned problems such as parking and smell, and, just the view of it is going to be awful. When I was walking the petition around and talking to different neighbors, which actually was nice to get to know some people on the other side of Hillsford that I haven't met yet, most of the people that signed the petition were dog owners. And I was surprised to see how many dog owners actually lived in our area. I'm not a dog owner, just to be honest. Most of them signed the petition for many different reasons, and the biggest reason was our property value. I asked each and every one of them, telling them where my home was, if there was a dog park put in Darren Park, would you purchase my condo? All of our condos are the same. There's only two styles. Would you purchase my condo for the dollar amount that the neighbor has it on sale for right now if there was a dog park? And every single person said there's no way. And I mean, that breaks my heart. I've lived in Lake Forest my whole life and purchased the condo 10 years ago. I live closely to Wes and Patty and Shelley, and we've invested, just as I'm sure most or some of you have, in our home for many, many years, and it's breaking my heart to know that a dog park might be put in, not only dangerous, but also to my children, but also could be dangerous to our livelihood. So I'm sorry to bring it up again, but we want to come out in force and show how much we are concerned about this possible option. So thanks everybody for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dave Hertzberg, followed by Bob Holtzclaw.
My name is Dave Hertzberg, and I'm a resident of Portola Hills. I came here tonight with another simple question for Mr. Nick, Mr. Voights, and Mr. Robinson. Because of the Brown Act, I know you can't respond, but I will ask it anyway. Where are all the people who elected you? And why aren't they here passionately defending and talking about how great and amazing these two new developments in the Foothill Ranch Auto Mall are going to be? Do these people really exist? How can you guys think that you have some kind of mandate to rule this city when no one who elected you is willing to stand here and defend you over these projects? No one who is a resident and truly lives in the city of Lake Forest. Where are they? I've been to the Planning Commission meetings about Brookfield and Trumark. It's been the same story. The only two people who love these two projects are the two developers, neither of whom live in the city of Lake Forest. The only other group that went on record to show support is the Business Property Association representing Foothill Ranch businesses. When questioned about where they live, the few who did speak admitted that they did not live in the city. So are those the people that gave you this mandate to build the first future slum area in the northern sphere of the city of Lake Forest? And I want to make one thing very clear here to everybody in this room tonight. I support low-income housing. That is not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is putting kids and families next to a hodgepodge of businesses enclosed by three of the busiest streets in the northern part of our city. It's a very stupid place to live. So here's the bottom line. You weren't given a mandate from the citizens of Lake Forest to push these projects through during the election. You simply bought an election with lots of money that flowed in from the Central Committee, the Orange County GOP, and even more money from the very developers you are so passionately supporting with every move you're orchestrating, both in the Planning Commission and here in these council chambers. It is so apparent what's happening here. In 2 days, I collected 183 signatures against Trumark, the Trumark development. Together with the Brookfield signatures, between 3,000 and 4,000 citizens who live truly in the city and are registered voters in the city of Lake Forest stood up collectively to send you a message. You don't have a mandate, but we do.
Bob Holtzclaw, followed by Jim Gardner.
Come to you on a friendlier note. My name is Bob Holtzclaw. I live here in Lake Forest, and I've been here for about 30 years. I've got a question. I thought maybe I've been to other city council meetings and things like that. In the back, they usually have the electronic voting thing there, and sometimes when you people vote here, we don't know who said yes and who said no. Just a suggestion, maybe we should have in the back there your names with a little electronic voting deal that says yes, no on it, instead of us going through the internet to find out was this voted yes and who voted no for it. Second thing I have is that due to the fact there's going to be a lot of houses off of Alton there, and also it's going to impact Bake, I would consider on the 5-year plan we place on there to make Bake Parkway a 3-lane highway both ways. Eventually you're going to have to do something, because right now the traffic is getting pretty built right now, and those homes aren't even filled yet. Last I'd like to mention is I have to agree with the people here about the dog park. And I expected this, and I told Gary about this once before on an email, that whatever the citizens want in that area, it should be. Because you can't force somebody to build something in their neighborhood that they don't want. This you represent the citizens of Lake Forest, not just to drop something in their laps. I'm still my favorite place is the Normandale undeveloped property next to that park over there, which would not bother anybody because it's undeveloped, and it sits over there way on the side there, so it wouldn't touch anybody. Also, I don't know about the sports park, if that would be a prime area too, if some of that property is not used. We don't know. But yeah, I consider the 3 items I just brought up, and hopefully that we can just better the city that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Gardner.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Jim Gardner. I live in Lake Forest. I wanted to go through a couple of things. First, the Village Pond Park Workshop. Thank you, Councilman Robinson and McCullough, for attending, and 3 Parks and Recreation people attended. Too bad that workshop was so terrible. I've been to dozens of workshops by the city. This was the worst one. So it seems a little incredible for me to say, where's the follow-up, but where's the follow-up? Let's get on with it, and let's start working with them as much as they work. Also, my understanding is that that ordinance still hasn't shown up. So we need an ordinance against feeding the ducks, and that should be done as soon as possible. Subject number 2, music jail. The music jail. The music jail. That you voted unanimously to approve the expansion and assured us that only minimum security people were going to be there. Remember that, folks? The guy who just got out the other day, he'd been arrested for narcotics, for burglary, for theft, for auto theft, and for resisting arrest. Should I invite that guy over to dinner? I mean, is that the kind of minimum security guy that we expected to have over there? So it seems to me, number 1, you should give us an alert, particularly the people who live there. Do you know, nowhere in the state of California do people's homes live closer than we do over there to music, that expansion being done there? That's the closest by far that people are living in their bedrooms. Anyhow, it seems to me you need to have an alert, like that reverse 911. Next time people run out, people in that area should have an alert. This guy's narcotics, burglary, auto theft, he's a danger to everybody who lives in that area. Secondly, I think you deserve to give us a report. Every 6 months, every 12 months, whatever it is, this is what's going on over there, this is who escaped, this is when they got them, etc., etc. With your unanimous vote to put us in danger, it seems to me you have a responsibility to go back and try to mediate that to the extent that it's possible. Item number 3, committees. You know, at the Planning Commission, we had so many talented people applying for that position. It was incredible. You didn't like any of them. Okay, that's your right to vote that way. But let's utilize those people. Those are talented people. Councilman Nick, Councilman Robinson, you promised us a traffic commission. Where is it? Every time I go to the Planning Commission and ask them, they say, come here. Okay, here I am now, and I'm asking, where is the traffic commission? You guys have the authority to establish commissions, committees, et cetera, et cetera. Let's not lose the enormous talented people who are here in the city and willing to help us make the city better. Let's take advantage of that. Let's have committees. Let's have commissions. Let's do whatever it takes and not let those people go back and be wasted. Let's take advantage of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, City Manager, could we address that OC alert? Can we make a request as a council that we have staff or you contact the Sheriff Department on that OC alert?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. The OC alert is a program that is operated by the County of Orange, and obviously the Sheriff's Department is able to access that. So if council's desire, we can certainly open up dialogue with the sheriff, and I'm sure they'd be interested in having that conversation with us.
Does that take a motion from me? Could I make a motion, or do we need a motion for that, or can we just make a request?
I think it's already underway, and so just with that, the manager can report back.
Okay. Anything?
We've had no further requests.
Well, that brings us to the consent calendar. Item number 3, warrant registry. All matters listed under the warrant registry are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a member of the City Council, the public, or the staff requests specific items to be removed from the warrant registry for separate action. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests?
We have had a request from Jim Gardner. He did not specify which warrant, but he wished to speak on the warrant register.
Hi, good evening. Mayor, Council staff. My name is Jim Gardner. I still live in Lake Forest. Anyhow, as you know, every so often I do an analysis of the warrant register, and I normally put that under the title, Put Lake Forest First, and I've been doing that for years and years and years. And much to my regret, I keep finding out that Lake Forest, as a city, spends less than 5% of its money on its citizens, in the business people, in the citizens. Actually, all the studies I've done before, and it's about 7 or 8, shows that we spend about between 2 and 5% of our budget is spent on our own cities. Almost all our money goes elsewhere. And that's understandable to some extent, but not to the extent of 2 to 5%. Anyhow, lo and behold, today, when I had some spare time, I actually went through the warrant register again for today. Tonight's warrant register, you're going to give out $3,442,444. Do you know how much is going to go to Lake Forest, people in Lake Forest? Of course, you can't answer. That's a rhetorical question. $62,087. That's how much is staying in the city out of $3,400,000. 62,000 is staying in the city. That's 1.8%. That's the lowest percentage in all the times I've done this study. That is the lowest percentage we've ever had of money staying in the city. And again, I have to look at Mr. Nick and I have to look at Mr. Robinson. You guys, you're our business guys. You were going to, help the city. I know, Councilman Robinson, you've got a seminar coming up on Friday. I plan to be there. Thank you very much for that. Hopefully that will increase the small businesses. I think that's primarily federal grants, et cetera, et cetera. That's a good step. But to come with the lowest percentage ever, with you guys almost a year on the council, that's just, I don't know what you're doing. I just don't know. Talk about commissions. Let's have a commission called Put Lake Forest First. Put those people together and figure out how we can spend more of our money in our city on our citizens. Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've had no further requests.
Take motions. Do we have any?
I need to register an abstention. Mayor Voice, I need to register an abstention, and Cumming is on whites. It's on page 10.
Okay. Thank you. Anything further?
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That brings us to consent calendar. Items number 4 through 10. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the council, the public, staff requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests?
We've had no requests.
Council?
Item 6.
Move the remaining.
I'd like to pull out item number 8.
Okay, minus 8. Anything else?
Okay.
The motion is to move the balance.
Move the balance?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 6, quarterly 6-month contract expiration notice for contracts expiring April 1st, 2014 through June 30, 2014, submitted by City Clerk.
Yes, and on this item, on page 69 of our pamphlet, our package, there's the item at the bottom is Public Works street sweeping, and there the recommendation initially is to renew the options available. My preference would be to put this out for an RFP. There were certainly discussions at the time the contract was let that raised several questions about what was actually in some of the other competing bids, and it sounds like there could be other things available in the market that might be able to improve the efficiency and cost aspects to the city of Lake Forest. So I'd like to put out the RFP.
Second. They're whispering among themselves.
Well, do we have any further discussion on that? Okay, I'll call the vote. Bob, would you like to talk on that?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I believe it's really the prerogative of the council. It's going to take a vote of the council at this juncture to do that as to its application as a function of the warrant list. I would leave that to the city attorney, but clearly you have a motion on the floor. I don't have anything to add at this juncture. I think Councilmember Herzog explained that when we did go out the bid last time, there were some questions. He has those. If the council wishes additional information from staff prior to the time of doing that, you could always place this on a future agenda, but it's really your pleasure at this juncture.
All right.
It would be my preference to put it on a future agenda. I wasn't here for the initial vote, and so I don't really understand. I don't know what the questions are, and so without that information, I would be looking to staff and the staff recommendations to move forward. So if we want to put it on a future agenda, that's fine. Otherwise, I'd just support staff decision. So
I'm agreeable to putting it, if someone has questions, that's great. So then I would approve agenda item 6 with the one exception being that Athens service for street sweeping will be put onto a future agenda as requested.
I believe you have consensus for that
As the
with
second
two members,
to that.
but there was already once, yeah, just we can put that on a future agenda.
Okay.
So it's 5.
That brings us to item number 8.
Excuse me. We had first and seconded, and the first accepted the amendment, and the second did also. Do we not still need to vote that since it was moved and approved?
But it's a receive and file item, so I understood the
Okay.
motion to be to receive and file, and then to bring the noted item back. So I think.
And I think it was consensus that it was.
You did it
5-0
Yeah.
on the receive
Okay.
and file motion, so I understood it.
Just like the state league.
Thank you.
Stay awake.
Agenda item 8, first contract amendment for park maintenance services submitted by Director of Public Works, City Engineer, and removed from the consent calendar by Mayor Voights.
The reason I removed this item is we had our series of concerts in the park this summer, and the week before our first concert, our landscape services pulled the lawn out of Pittsburgh Park. I think it was well documented that I, along with other council members, or Mayor Pro Tem, walked the field and were very upset to see the condition of the field and the shabby placement of the grass back in. And I was assured that it was not a cost to the city to have that routine maintenance of the field done. Well, now we have a large increase of the contract for the landscape services that we've got. I'm not opposed to the landscape services company, but I'm just upset, and I just want it to be documented that we in the city of Lake Forest pride ourselves in our parks, and that one broadsided us, and we got a lot of complaints as people that were at the park that day, and other weekends that we were out. So I'll move the item with just a note that I just be on record that that was a fumble on their part. And I'll make that motion. The move.
I'll second it with comment. In fact, with me asking something, that comes, city manager can direct Tom Wheeler or whatever to speak. The increase, I didn't really get a good feel of what the breakdown of was the increase. I would have liked it broke down more, exactly what they're increasing, because I was very specific when I complained about the part that I expected to be fixed to the standards that we are known for without paying any extra. That should be a part of record. So I can support this, but I would like in our update a breakdown of what this increase is going to be directed for and to, and not the Pittsburgh Park cleanup. Thank you.
I think it was motion was made. I made the motion to accept it. It was seconded.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That brings us to public hearing.
Agenda item 11, public hearing for the issuance of multifamily revenue bonds by the California Statewide Communities Development Authority for use by Metta Housing Corporation for its proposed affordable housing project, submitted by Assistant City Manager.
And we got staff report on that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll turn that over to Mr. Vellner for a brief presentation.
Mayor, members of the council, Baker Ranch is the largest of the 5 city OSA developments. Shea Baker Ranch Associates, a partnership between Shea Homes and Toll Brothers is entitled or approved to build up to 2,379 residential units on about 387 acres. The SBRA DA, as all of the DAs in the OSA, make provisions for affordable housing. In this case, to fulfill its affordable housing obligations, SBRA is proposing to sell a 6.3-acre site within its master plan community to Metta Housing. Metta Housing is an experienced affordable housing developer and owner, and specifically on the 6.3-acre site, Metta is proposing to build 189 apartments, 187 of which would be reserved for income-eligible families, affordable families. Metta has been advancing its development application for some time and working in partnership with Shea, the current owner of the site. And Metta's plans were recently reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. So that project is now approved through our City Planning Commission. At this point in time, Metta is working to secure its project financing to construct the project. And as is common for affordable housing communities, they're proposing to do so through a combination of tax-exempt bonds and investment tax credits. In this case, Metta is proposing to use the California Statewide Communities Development Authority, which is a joint powers authority, to serve as the issuer of their bonds. And they're asking for bonds in the amount of $43 million, which will be the primary initial source of construction financing for the project. As noted in the staff report, the bonds would be issued through CSZBA, and it would in no way constitute a debt or a pledge of credit by the City of Lake Forest. So that's good to note for the record. In staff's opinion, that's articulated in the staff report. The repayment of these bonds is secured solely through the project revenues, in this case rent, from the residents that will live in the project. The Internal Revenue Code, which affects or influences or governs, I guess is a better word, the tax-exempt bonds that are being sought for this project, require a public hearing to be held by the local legislative body, in that case, that's the City Council of Lake Forest, to essentially consent to the issuance of the bonds by the California Statewide Community Development Authority. And they require additionally the adoption of a resolution that officially documents that consent. We've noticed that public hearing, and that's the reason we are before the City Council tonight. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide an opportunity for anyone from the public to come forward that might have comment on the issuance of the bonds of the project. And so at this point in time, staff's recommendation is that we conduct the public hearing, and subject to any comments that would be received, that the City Council approve the resolution essentially consenting to the issuance of the bonds by the California Statewide Development Community Joint Powers Authority. We do have representatives with us this evening from both CSCDA, and Shea Homes, and Metta Housing to assist in any questions the council may have.
Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
We've had no requests to speak.
In that case, I'll bring it back to the council.
Mayor, just to note that you could open the public hearing and then ask that question.
Okay, officially open up the public hearing, and it seemed that there are or are not speakers from the public.
We've had no requests to speak.
Bring it back to the council then.
Thanks for that, Mayor.
Mr. Belmer, thank you very much for your explanation. So just to reiterate, I just want to make sure that I'm very, very clear. Someone asked the question a couple times here. But the city is not and will not be responsible for the bond. So that's clear, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then I also wanted to ask the city attorney the same thing. Has there ever been an instance where a city was being there was an attempt to hold them responsible because someone defaulted on the bond?
Yes, I defended one council member, but this is a matter of corporate law and under California law, and really even for purposes of federal taxes. And the courts have been unanimous and consistent in finding that these agencies are separate corporate entities from their membership, like the city. And so it is literally impossible to pierce that veil and to go after the member agencies. This agreement, as you noted, puts everyone on very clear notice that that's the case here.
And that was my assumption, but I just, and I appreciate the staff's report. I just want to make sure that the legal opinion was the same.
Appreciate you asking. If I could, it's the very same arrangement that exists between the city and the fire authority, which is, of course, completely responsible for its own debts and obligations.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Councilman?
I need.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to thank the staff for the work that they've done on this project, because, as you know, that we need affordable housing, and one of the things is that if you, for the ones that may have not read the report, you have a 30-year covenant on it. That means that for 30 years it has to stay affordable housing. That automatically give us the right to count those homes on our regional housing needs assessment for the state of California, and that makes me real happy. And I'm quite sure that all of you up here know about the RENA numbers. You hear me talk about it all the time. So I will move the item.
Second.
And call the vote. Well, wait, I'd like to close the public hearing before we vote, so I'd like to...
Yeah, if I could just make one, it's not directly on point, but I see Mr. Yoder in the audience from Shea Homes, and it's a pleasure to see you, and I just have to indicate that, particularly since some things we've seen recently, how appreciative I am, and I think the city staff has been over the years that we've worked with you on the project that now is going full bore over off of on what is now Alton Parkway. And you came in and you embraced the community, you worked with the community, and came up with a project that really reflected the community. And that is so nice to see, and so helpful to the community, that we feel very confident that with all the great work you've done for the community, that this will continue and you'll have just an excellent project. So when I saw you in the audience, I wanted to thank you again, and particularly thank you for Alton Parkway, because, as you know, originally that didn't have to happen yet under the development agreement, but you were gracious enough to allow us to move ahead, get that in ahead of time, since it is on your property, and we certainly appreciate that as well. So it's good to see you, and thank you.
And with that, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 12, affordable housing agreements for Metta Housing Corporation's proposed affordable apartment project located in the Baker Ranch development, submitted by Assistant City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is actually the last item that relates to this, but I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bellmer again for just a quick few words.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. These are the agreements that actually implement the project, the development of the project. And there's a very detailed staff report that outlines the salient points describing what the project actually is, as proposed by Metta Housing. The affordable housing agreements between both the city and Shea Baker Ranch Associates and Metta Housing Corporation. Probably the most important component of which is the regulatory agreement, which is an attachment to the Metta Housing Corporation affordable housing agreements. The regulatory agreement that actually governs the use of the property over that 30-year covenant period and ensures that it remains an affordable housing project as required in the DA. And it sets forth some very specific standards to ensure that the property is maintained pursuant to strict standards, that we have families appropriate to the unit size, that there is capital reserve account set aside to ensure the property has sufficient funds to maintain itself over that time, and that should there at any point be a change of ownership over that 30-year period, that there's a responsible and qualified management agent that actually manage the property. In terms of project costs and benefits, we outline those in the report. There essentially really are no direct costs to the city on this project. The city is in no way responsible for the development cost. The benefits are enumerated. Essentially, we're really fulfilling an OSA goal to incorporate affordable housing in a well-designed project compatible with the area plan. As Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, we're helping to realize our RENA goals. And so that's it in terms of benefits. So that concludes my presentation. Again, we have Metta Housing Corporation here to answer any questions, as well as Shea.
On that, just for you out in the public, it is approximately 6.3 acres, and it will be approximately 189 units. And this is actually going to help the city of Lake Forest meet their low-income housing responsibilities that the state has put forth. And so I want to thank you guys and Shay and staff for helping us put this together. So with that, I'd like to move the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 13, reconsideration of the proposer's workshop, solid waste collection services request for proposals, submitted by the Director of Public Works, City Engineer.
Mr. Members of the City Council, this item actually is back on the agenda at your request. We believe we've provided some background as it relates to this item, and any further decision is at your discretion.
Council?
I know that there was a pre-submittal conference. I don't know if this was discussed at all, but did the haulers have any comments? Because this was something that I was suggesting. I haven't gone through the process before, and the last thing I wanted to do was do multiple site visits, so I thought this might give them the opportunity to talk to all of us in a very brief form. But I don't know what they're, if they weren't really interested, then, you know, I could forego it. But I was just wondering what their thoughts were, so.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of the council. I don't believe it ever came up as an issue or major. They're going to go through the RFP process. Staff will be interviewing each of them. We will be videotaping those interviews, so you could have access to them if you so desired to review those. So from a staff perspective, staff doesn't benefit or doesn't need those interviews because we'll be interviewing them ourselves. So it's really at your discretion if you want to do that. Certainly, when we bring forth our recommendation, I would expect that they would be here and speak under public comments and have their 3 minutes each. I would expect them to do that.
Okay. And then, so speaking of the public input opportunity, is that basically where it would be, is when the staff makes the recommendation, then that would be the public's opportunity to come in and say, yes, I like this company, or I want to stick with the one I have, or I want to change it out, or whatever?
Mr. Members of the Council, certainly that is the opportunity, but what we're doing with this, as Mr. Wheeler identified, we're videotaping all the actions. We've posted actually everything on our website. So, for example, there's addendums that we are issuing out to all of the prospective proposers, and at this point I call them prospective because I don't think the time is closed yet. We don't know who's going to actually apply, but when we do, we'll know exactly that issue. But when we get questions from them, we answer those in writing, and we put them out to everybody at the exact same time, so everybody has an equal playing field, and we put it on our website. So we would encourage members of the public to continue to look at the website. They can see all the materials. They can watch the progress of this effort, so they can be informed at that hearing when the council does take action, and they can express their views at that juncture.
Okay. I'm sure that it's already in the plan, but I just want to make sure that I state that I'd like to make sure we communicate that information as much as possible through as many mediums as possible, so that people in the community can, they know where to go to get that information. This is one of the few things that I think we're going to vote on, but every individual resident out there is going to be paying for out of their own pocketbook, and so I want to make sure they have that opportunity to kind of see how the process unfolds. So with that information, I'm fine with tabling this since it was my idea, but if there are other council members that like it, then...
Well, just formally, since originally there was an actual vote to put it in, then in light of your comments, then I'll make a motion that we delete the proposer's workshop, I guess it's been called, from the RFP.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 14, award of contract for legislative consulting services, submitted by City Manager.
Mr. Members of the City Council, this is an item that was originally initiated by the City Council. It was an RFP for two types of services. One was for legislative consulting services. The other was for grant consulting services. The council approved the RFP for distribution. As we identified in the staff report, we did send that out very widely and received various proposals, which were then evaluated by staff. We did give companies the opportunity in that RFP to bid on one service or the other service or both of them. And you can see through the staff report that we had firms that did look at both, but primarily what we found in this process is that most firms are really more expert in one field or the other, but not really both for the most part. And through that process, as we've identified, the staff has gone through the process that the council has set forth for this type of procedure and evaluated those proposals, conducted interviews, ranked the participants who were there, and have concluded in staff's estimation that the most qualified firm for the legislative consulting services is Emmanuel Jones and Associates, and its staff's recommendation, as identified in the report, that you authorize execution of agreement for those services with that firm. As it relates to the grant consulting, there were a couple of issues that I know were important to the council during the conversation related to this item, and it was over the fiscal structure for any type of service like that. And the RFP was structured in such a fashion that we were looking for a firm that would work on a percentage basis if they were successful in obtaining a grant. Well, we found the industry doesn't really like that process very much, and we got a proposal for a retainer option, and another one was on a time and materials basis. In evaluating the firms, we certainly felt that that we saw qualified firms for that purpose. However, the staff is recommending a more conservative approach to this issue. As we've identified in the report, we've been very successful in obtaining grants, as the council is aware. The skate park was a function of a grant. We've got grants from Orange County Transportation Authority and others for road projects, and we've identified some of those for you in the report. However, we do agree with council in this initial conversation that we can have a more robust program and try to identify additional grants that might be out there. We believe as a first step in this process, it perhaps would be better for us to subscribe to an internet-based subscription service that helps to identify those grants, and the staff feels that it would be certainly within our ability to identify those that might be of advantage to the city as it relates back to our 5-year plan. So primarily, as council is likely aware, the grants are usually for capital projects, not for operational purposes. So we look at our 5-year plan and look at those grant opportunities through those various services. And for those that we feel that we can do on by staff, certainly we would do that. If we felt that we needed additional help because it was more complex, then we would recommend that we'd come back to you and choose perhaps the firm that was one of these that submitted, but certainly cross that path when we get there. In our estimation, the retainer basis, when you look at that, you'd be paying $2,000 a month for learning about beverage recycling grants, and we already know about those, and we already apply, and we already get them. So we think the best prudent process is to, as we recommend, is to authorize us to procure a subscription-based grant notification service, put that into our budget, monitor that for a while. If we're feeling that there is more opportunity and we need more assistance, we bring it back to you. So staff's recommendation, as I indicated on this, was for that purpose, and as it relates to legislative consulting, Emanuels and Jones. With that, that's our report, and we'd be glad to answer any questions the council may have.
On the grant writing subscription that you're talking about, are there providers out there that do that online?
Yes, there's a variety of them that are out there, so we would simply it's a subscription that you can do, obviously, pretty simply, and they send those updates to you regularly, and you can flag the ones you're interested in, and we'd be more aware of grants that were available not only from a governmental source, but perhaps from a foundation. Foundations tend not to give government a lot of money for projects, but we'd always be looking at all of those opportunities, and I think we'd be more aware of what's available out there and make sure the council's aware that they're there and we're looking at and chasing them.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions?
I'll move staff's recommendations 1 through 3.
Second?
Any discussion? I call a vote.
Aye.
I'm actually going to vote no on this item for the reason that they're over what we as the city have budgeted in, and yeah, I'm waiting for 2 other council members to vote.
Aye.
What?
Aye.
Aye on the project? Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm totally missing. Mr. Herzog made a motion to move the staff's recommendation?
Yes.
It was seconded by you, madam?
Yes.
And then you made a motion, sir?
No, I voted no on their motion.
And you?
And Dwight voted yes.
I meaning you wanted the staff's recommendation? Correct. All right. Now, am I understanding that it is actually a little more costly than the other company, correct? But the staff is making a recommendation because the cost increment is somewhat negligible, correct?
That is correct, Councilmember Nick.
I support staff's recommendation.
Agenda item 15, legislative and regulatory matters, submitted by the city manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is your regular item. The staff has nothing further as input at this juncture. Be glad to answer any questions that you have.
An update maybe on 662?
Bear with me just a moment so I can get to that item. I'm not sure that we have a update as to whether the bill has been signed yet. It was enrolled to the governor on September 12th, but we'll be glad to
If you could get that back to us,
council. We'll
thank you.
get to you in the
All right,
weekly update.
All right. And then the file, item number 15, brings us to request for appointments.
Agenda item 16, request for appointment, League of California Cities, Association of California Cities, Orange County, and/or the Orange County City Selection Committee, submitted by City Clerk. There are no new opportunities.
There are none. Okay, then that brings us to the manager's report.
I have nothing for this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Council comments?
Thank you very much.
Okay, and could, sure. I have to take a minute break, so I'll let him go on with his comments, but I just, the necessity, and leave it to Mayor Pro Tem.
You want us to continue with the meeting?
Please.
Okay.
We're almost done.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be right down. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Go right ahead.
All right. Lake Forest has been a great place to live, work, and play. And why has that been? Well, because for the first 20 years that our city has been in existence, the focus has been on the people and on the community. The people led the way. They created the July 4th parade. They actually were the ones, obviously, that did the incorporation. They were heavily involved in the El Toro Airport fight. They were deeply involved in the whole El Toro Road renovation project, which was a community-wide effort that's turned out so successfully. And as we heard earlier, deeply involved in the opportunity study area and the results that came out of that project, that whole effort. That was huge, and then it goes on. And the results of having a city council that takes that approach and working with the community, the results are undeniable. For years now, we've polled our residents as well as all the information we get regularly, and the results are very clear. In this 2012 one, which was before, right at the end of last year, the residents' approval of the quality of life in Lake Forest was 96%, the highest ever in the history. The residents' satisfaction with the services provided was 95%, again the highest ever. The business satisfaction with the services provided was 93%, again the highest ever. And when it comes to the business attitude of the city, we've heard people talk about being pro-business and business-friendly, and it's kind of raising an inference that there are others that are not. In fact, we've had some council members and other people indicate that even the Chamber of Commerce is not business-friendly, and some specific council members are not. Well, the facts are very clear, and the facts are also what I view are based upon the actions, not words, actions, that the City of Lake Forest has taken over those first 20 years. And those actions have led to an 89% approval rating by the businesses of the business climate in Lake Forest. That's from the business community. And so when we did this last survey and we got the conclusions in the discussion, and all five of us were here for and had the document, it was indicated that there had been more than a decade of improvement, and the number one recommendation was stay the course. Continue on with what has been successful, and continue on with the improvements that were in place, and continue on with moving forward as we had been in the past. Yet in spite of that, we now have council members who feel that there's this great change needed, that somehow things aren't going right. And yet it's interesting because, again, in this same survey that we did in 2012, the public was actually asked about what they wanted to change. It was an open-ended question. And overwhelmingly, their first response was they didn't have anything they asked to change. By far and away, the highest answer that was given. And again, that's because people love Lake Forest and where it's been going. Yet, there's been this cry for change. But so, with all that background, what is it that supposedly is going wrong? What is it supposedly needs to be changed? And you don't hear any explanation of what that might be. But, we have definitely seen change over the last 9 months. And in my opinion, it is not a change for the better, but that it's harmful for the community. And I'll just give you a few examples. There are many that you can recount from the last 9 months. But we had a planning commission that was highly respected, very thorough, and highly involved with the community. And the best example of that actually occurred at the end of 2012. And what happened was you had a planning commission and a project in Portola Hills that had a long history with a lot of animosity and a lot of problems. And they worked with the community and came up with a plan that was good for the developer and the community as well. So that should have been a success story. Yet what happened immediately was that planning commission was emasculated. We now have 3 people who have no real background or experience on the planning commission. And there are other things as well, but one of the most concerning to me is this change away from having the community as the base, as the foundation of Lake Forest. And the Brookfield Truemark fiasco is probably the best example of that. In the surveys and throughout, we had not heard of anybody having a great interest in new housing. It was not an interest of the community. Yet, for some reason, within 25 minutes of getting sworn in, it was all of a sudden the top priority for 3 members of the council, for no apparent reason. And then we've gone through, and that was processed, as we know, and the residents are certainly not happy, as has been shown in many different ways. So and in fact, what was amazing in the process is it became very clear that one of the things that made it so clearly there was a change is that there was no outreach to the residents, none whatsoever, and the builders admitted it. None whatsoever. And in fact, one of the planning commissioners even stated, well, they're over a quarter a mile away, and all we needed to talk to was the immediate people. So they actually divided the community as opposed to bringing it together. They additionally split Lake Forest between business and the residents, because the only one builder did any outreach, and he only did it to the business community. So now we have a planning commission and a council who has split the community between who's close and who's far, and between business and residents. That's unacceptable. That is not how Lake Forest got to be where it is, and it should never happen again. And in fact, we now have a council member who indicating that things should be an extension of him, and that things, we should be thinking the way he thinks. That is exactly the opposite of what our country is founded on and what this city runs at. The city council is an extension of the people, not the other way around. It's the people who talk to us, and we listen to them, not the other way around. So again, the people need to rise up. They need to take back their city, and it needs to happen soon, sooner than later. Thank you.
Councilman Nick.
Hello. I've been told by a friend that I'm a little too close to the microphone. That is why I come across as if I'm yelling or shouting. I'm not. I'm just not used to this. I usually had my mic on my jacket at the office when I spoke to my employees of about 400. So I apologize if I have been loud, but again, I'll try to keep my distance from the mic. I wasn't going to go there. There is no point, but Mr. Herzog just repeats the same thing. What I said is that a planning commissioner needs to be an extension of me. Yes. What I said was that the institutional knowledge, I wasn't going to even go there. The institutional knowledge that Mr. Herzog referred to comes from the staff, not from the planning commission. The institutional knowledge here comes from the staff again, not from any five of us. At best, I can do Keith's job, like I said, at best. And I probably can't because I don't know much about governmental accounting. It's different from financial accounting. I don't think any of us can do any of the jobs these folks do. Combined between the 10 individuals in front of me, to my right and to my left, I probably have 2.5 centuries worth of experience. This is the institutional knowledge. This is the money you pay. You don't pay me. You pay them for that knowledge. I am here just to be an observant and a good, competent, unbiased judge. And again, I want my planning commissioner to be my extension because he or she needs to fulfill my wish. And my wish is your wish. I am an extension of you. I was elected by you. As such, I am truly an extension of you. No matter you voted for me or not, I am an extension of you, each and every one of you, even the ones who despise me for whatever reason. Accordingly, you picked me, and I picked people who I trust, whose vision I trust. And I went into length last time as to why I couldn't trust those who were of the utmost qualification, who in fact I commended at the time of the interview. Mr. Herzog started by telling us the definition of cronyism, and then he tied it to us perhaps choosing Mrs. Fuentes. I was driving home that night, and I'm thinking, well, cronyism. When Mr. Herzog picked, or whoever picked Mr. Carter 20 years ago, what institutional knowledge did he have? Now, don't take me wrong. This is not about Mr. Carter. I truly, truly, truly care for the guy. I think he's a big-hearted, great gentleman. So is Mr. Terry Anderson. I truly, truly care for both of them, or I wouldn't say that. But what institutional knowledge did they have when they got picked? They got picked because they had somebody's vision, either friendship, acquaintanceship, or for some reason, somebody on the council knew them or knew their vision or liked what they saw in the application. And believe me, I've seen those applications. And they picked them. Again, I've wasted a good 2 minutes of my time trying to refute what Mr. Herzog said. I beg of you, Mr. Herzog, let's move on. Let's move forward. Let's just not regurgitate the same thing time and time again. And I surely am not gifted like you. I am not a soft-spoken. I am not soft-spoken. I do not articulate as well. But I cannot stay quiet and just, please, let's move forward. Again, I wasted a good portion of my time. As far as productive things, I trust Mr. City Manager, I trust you that you and your staff will very promptly get back with the people of Footy Ranch about the ground shifting and their concerns. I trust that we will do that. We are better than that. We will put their mind at rest, whatever it takes. As far as, again, this has to do with the statistics and polling, going back to this, that Mr. Herzog was referring to. Anybody who's a financial guy, anybody who's finance, anybody who has studied statistics, polling, the answer you get, it all depends on the jury. It depends on who you go to get those answers. And who is to say 250 people that you poll are representative of 78,000 people? The best unbiased, objective way whereby most everybody participated asking for a change was the election on November 6th. That is more valuable than any polling that any company does for a few $100s. Think about it. That was the most overwhelming result. People crying for change. Somebody who had nothing to do with the city hall, somebody who had sued the council, got elected, received the number one, the highest votes. Not that it matters, the highest or second highest. I'm not saying that. And then the other person had no ties with the city hall. They picked us as compared to others who in fact had significant ties with the city hall. At least most of them did. Going back to being productive. For those who have concerns about me or where I stand, I said last time, coming here and speaking for 3 minutes, taking everybody's time, where I cannot by state law respond, is not productive. I understand, if you want to blow the steam, fine, but you're wasting everybody's time. Instead, I am very available, publicly available. Google me, Adam Nick. I'm the first link. I come up. My cell phone number is there. I invite you home. I live right down Regency. You don't want to come to my home? We'll go somewhere over a cup of coffee. I hear you out. I'll tell you my reasoning. You tell me your reasoning. We'll be civil about it. I promise. We're not going to necessarily agree, but I want you to know where I'm coming from. And if you don't want to grant me that much respect, fine. Coming here, I'm not going to say it's cowardly. Maybe it is. It is not productive. Coming here where we cannot respond. What does that do for anybody? As far as the dog park, real quickly, again, I wasted a good deal of my time because I had to address Mr. Herzog's statements. Otherwise, I would have been here 5 minutes ago. As far as that dog park there, and I apologize. Give me just 1 more minute. I heard very, very valid reasons. And this is not to say Whispering Hills is a good site. I'm not saying what is a good site. What I am saying, apparently, quite obviously, that Darien Park is not a good site. I'm not saying what is a good site again. I'm saying what is not a good site. And that site is not a good site. Too close to residents. The children who live in those condominiums, in those apartments, and in those homes, their safety comes first and foremost. Property values declining, pre-existing parking problems, noise level, bites, smell. Again, I go back to the quality of life. It seems like that choice will adversely affect the quality of life for those who live around the park. So I beg each and every one of you decision makers to take that into account. Our first and foremost responsibility is to the residents of Lake Forest to secure their peaceful enjoyment of life. That is our first and foremost responsibility. So having said that, I don't think, quite obviously, that is not a good site for a dog park. I would be against it. for all I can do. As far as a 3-lane Bake Parkway for a total of 6 lanes, that is a very tall order, ideal, but a tall order. Electronic voting here, good idea. Normandale needs to be looked at as far as a dog park. The last thing that I wanted to say, and I'll tell the rest later, the Music Jail, Traffic Commission, I have all good ideas here, but my time is up. One last item, which again would be productive, is I would like to request consensus for someone to help me here. I would like either the city attorney, I guess it would be the city attorney, to provide us some briefing, to schedule a briefing with help from Mr. City Manager to educate us as to what applies and what is relevant to mobile home park conversions. If I can have somebody second me, because I need to know what is entailed. I have no idea. I need to know what is entailed, what we need to do to protect those who call those mobile parks homes. And if somebody could second me there, I shall stay quiet from that point forward.
Nick, I'm not seconding you because I've already asked for the staff to bring that back to us, and soon as the city manager can work it into our agenda, I've asked for it to be an agenda item.
Thank you, Madam, but just so...
For that exact purpose.
Thank you, Madam, I appreciate that. The reason I brought that up in this very venue, at this very time, with that express verbiage for a second person to second me, was because I was instructed by the city attorney that this is the correct procedure.
To put something on for an agenda discussion and
Correct.
report.
It was already done.
Okay.
Maybe you forgot.
I don't think we
But I
got
didn't.
that in the
I asked when the ordinance came out and it was approved, and I asked for it to be brought back to us so that we could take and first of all, for the ones that do not understand conversion, and also so we could make a city ordinance that is now protected by a ruling that was successful, and all the cities are being asked that if you have mobile homes, that to take and put in the city ordinance. I brought that back as soon as I got the clearance on that, and the city manager said he would work it on the agenda. Now, if you look back in the record somewhere, you'll see that I brought that up. I even checked with you because I couldn't remember the name of the city that had gotten the ruling that we could have a city ordinance, and it had cleaned it up where it had stood the test of being litigated.
Let me give staff a minute to clarify that.
I think it's clear there's consensus now to bring back a report as per.
Just one more thing, real quick, Mayor Voights. Thank you. Where is that, if I could beg of you, Mr. Smith, where is that ordinance for the feeding ducks, preventing...
Thanks, Mayor and Council. That is in the agenda planning guide to come back to your next meeting. The next meeting, what we have been working together on is figuring out the enforcement tools for that ordinance so that can be presented concurrently. But it won't be more than a month off that's on your agenda.
Thank you.
The ordinance is done.
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor Voights, for allowing me to go on.
Thank you. Councilman Robinson.
I already yielded my time to Councilman Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm not yielding 1 second of my time to anybody.
Do you need to borrow some of mine?
I may. And a little bit of, if any of Robertson's was left over, I'll take a little of that too. If you remember last week, I had to rush out here and catch a plane. I asked for additional time this week. But
You're going to read all that?
Honey, yes. It'll go quick. But before I read anything, number one, I do need to clear up something, because I don't want constituents to leave here and think that when they speak at this mic, that what they say is not taken into consideration. The state does not allow us to say anything, but that doesn't mean that we can't do something. If maybe not then, you'll see later we'll ask about it. Now, I don't know why they didn't remember the conversion, but I asked about that to be put on, and some of the other things that are mentioned here has been brought forth, and I'm waiting patiently. I guess I should stop waiting patiently and just pound the city manager that you got to get this on now or next time, because I do have a lot of tolerance as far as waiting. But I'm on the State Mobile Home Task Force. I'm the one that provoked it and started it throughout the state. And so when it comes to mobile home issues, I'm generally on top of it. I have local and statewide people that contact me about mobile home issues, and some of the other attorneys throughout our state. I do check with them. I go to this one first because that's the one we pay, and then I check with others. So the thing is, I want to say is, I don't ever want citizens, in fact, I wish more citizens would come up to this mic and state their things so we can look into it instead of all the rumors that go around out there. Because if they were coming here to City Hall, the City Hall should be packed out as it used to be. We're down on the other end, because that way it stops the rumors, it stops the fears and uncertainties and scares that people drum up out of their own point to point. So after saying that, I will get into my report and try and be quick, but it won't be. I'm telling you ahead of time. Some of the things I left off last time, and I'm just going to run through those quick. I did mention the shop and dine. I remember mentioning that. And mental health, I've been to mental health again since then. We have some new things that's coming up. Mental health is very instrumental. I'm going to kind of, on my 1234, just check me off. I'm mentioning any of the ones that I've been to since I left. I'm giving you those. This mental health and this mental health that I went to, I'm folding this in also that I went to the League of California Cities, the ACCLC, the SCAG, senior citizens, Duck Pond, and any of the other things, any that I've went to on my paper. 2020, OCOG, Fire Authority, all those is declaring my 1234. But the reason I'm tying these in is because while I was at the League, I was able to go to realignment, a meeting, somebody put on a realignment, and I went to ACCOC that was had a realignment also with the sheriff and others there. And one of the things that I was able to get in the language when we were, the state league is already addressing it, is that someone had spoke about the person, I think it was Jim. Jim, are you paying attention? This is going for you. Spoke about a person being put in music jail that had a different than the one, the first and second level. Well, that would be a concern for us, and it should be. But one of the things of the realignment, that's where they're taking the people out of state prison and putting them back in the community. We had quite extensive talk and brainstorming solutions for that, because one of the things that the State League is already addressing and already trying to get some legislation on it is that in bringing the people back to, they're saying back from your county, all of them are not from your county. Some of them, that's the last place they did the crime. And in our discovery, and one of the things myself and a former chief spoke on quite extensively is that they're not doing the background check. They'll check the last one crime or two or three, and they don't go all the way back. And we're asking the state to address all the way back to their childhood. If they're going to re-enter them into the county that they did the last crime, they need to go all the way back in their record before they give them their rating. And they don't call it rating, they call it grade or points, and depending on what part of which institution you're in. And that is one of the things that we on the state level through the league, we're already addressing, and they've already earmarked that you have got to change how you are giving them their grade, because you are not going back far enough. And when they negotiated with the writer of this, it says maybe three offense. No, we don't want them to go back 3 offense. We want to go all the way back to childhood, because some people in childhood, they got the record to expunge, and then we don't know what's in our county that's sent here because their last crime was here. So that's something that we're working on. Also, I don't know if any of you knew another thing that I learned of when I was up. I already knew that portion because I was in prison ministries for so many years. Myself and the chief, we were on top of it, and a lot of people got new openings on that. But the other thing is that I did not know that our libraries throughout our state is being used for integration. I went to the Latino Caucus forum that they had, and they now can process the people faster through the public library systems. So that's something that is being used that I wasn't aware of. I'm going to another meeting concerning it. I learned it when I was up there in Sacramento. I mean, it's in fact, I have to apologize to the public because they ask us to get the little slip to do the press release, and I don't really do press, but I would have gave it to staff to do that, because you need to know how much information. My head is still about to burst with all the information I found on things that affects us directly and indirectly. Some other things is there is that bill that we talked about before I left here that's trying to take and infringe upon local control and take our control away from us. I was very happy to find out that the league has already started processing response on that and working with the legislators to get that changed. We came up with a lot of legislation changing that. Some environmental regulations and the fees and things that they're doing on environmental. That resolution is in. You can go on the website, on the league's website, and get those two that we voted on. Those were very vital. Since I've been back, I didn't get a chance to go to a whole bunch of stuff because I was gone for a bit. But the Orange County Fire Authority, some of you may have heard that Irvine was planning on pulling out. Well, we have negotiated an agreement with them. They're not going to pull out right now, but they will be pulling out at the end of the agreement, and it gives the fire authority a chance to pay down their unfunded mandates and finish paying for the hazmat and also to get stabled before before Irvine pull out, because otherwise, just like when the library was at risk, it would have collapsed the system. Also, I don't know if we've had the Joint Power Authority. I don't know if you went to it or not, yes, but I didn't get a report on it. You do need to give us those reports, because that report also folded over into the Joint Powers. There was a portion that affects the overhaul for the Fire Authority also. You know, it's still all insurance and stuff, and some of the cities have issues on that area that I can't go into now, even though I thank you for giving me the extra time. 2020 Commission, we had a workshop instead of our regular meeting. We are one of the things you need to know on block grant monies and monies for continuum of care is being redirected as far as HUD is concerned. That money's come from HUD, and the federal government says they want to see results, and Orange County does not have enough results. And so if we don't get our acts together and get not just some shelters, we don't have 24-hour shelters enough for our population. These are grant monies that we could lose and never retain. We also need to have permanent housing. They want the rapid housing. That means within 30 days, if they're in they phasing out transitional housing. Within 30 days, if that person's in transitional housing, they want you to have them in some permanent housing. And some of the permanent housing needs to be with different benefits. So they're kind of cutting. And we on this, as you know, I'm also on the Housing Authority for Orange County and the senior housing and stuff. So what we're having to do here in Orange County, we're kind of behind the times. And right now, back in the Midwest and back east, they're really racking in the most of this money. But they are some of our agencies are not producing permanent. And here in Orange County, we have very little permanent where it's moving fast enough. That money will be cut. And so even for the cities, that money will be cut, block grant monies and all. They're talking about cutting because they want to see results. And let me see, ACOC. Oh, a stand down. We had a stand down in Tustin. We haven't had one in South Orange County. I seen your face twist up. The other people's face was twisting up too. That is where the homeless vets, males and females. I don't know if you realize that a female homeless vet is more apt to not get housing or a place of shelter, because women, when they're homeless, if they do not have children, they do not want to place them. There's more places to place men. But at the stand down, my husband and I, we attended. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we attended. And I was shocked to find so many Lake Forest people there. And what they do is they have clothing, they have food, they have services, dental, chiropractor, aquapuncture, just all types of things there. And one of the things they also get a chance to do is help people to get in housing, vets get in housing, because a lot of people do not know there's special vouchers that's put aside for rapid housing for vets. My husband even, Saturday, he even took a homeless vet from our city over to there, and they in hopes to get him in housing this week. So these are things that we need to be involved in. The fire authority's having their open house. It's going to be October the 12th, and it's going to be from 10 to 3 at 1 Fire Authority Road. Also, there is a citizen that called me today. They're having the first urban garden is going to be here, and anybody's interested in going to it, I will have the information, give the information to the city clerk so she can have it. We also have Heroes with a Heart. That's a tip program. They're having their event on October the 25th. It's from 6 to 9:30 at the Anaheim Hilton. And we have Irvine's going to have solar energy, and there is some housing monies that is going to be put aside for anybody that's doing solar housing to try and do the greenhouses. As you know, KB Homes is a greenhouse, and they're having on the 13th at the Great Park, all different solars. In fact, they were even up in Sacramento, and all different solar companies and anything about solar, they're going to be there. You may want to go and learn. You may not be able to or want to leave your house and go buy a solar house, but you may want to find out how you can economically get a solar house and cut them electric bills, because as you know, the electric bills are steady going up, especially with that plant closed. Last but not least, there is a regional thing that's going on throughout our region, and it's Job Labor Summit, and our new president of the SCAG, Southern California Association of Government, wants to have make sure he goes to all the regions. So Orange County and LA is kind of putting theirs together. It's going to be in Costa Mesa. That will be October the 16th. This information, the city clerk can check back with me if she needs any further information on any of the dates and times, so you'll be able to get it that way. Outside of that, thank you very much for giving me the additional time. Sorry I had to jam two into one. I know I tried to talk fast. If you missed anything, check with me. Bye.
Considering Mayor Pro Tem took most of my time, I'll make it real brief. I'd like to thank Commissioner Jim for bringing forth the chili cook-off at the Serrano Stables. It is for the Lake Forest Superstars. It's this coming Saturday from 5 to 8:30. Come down and have some chili and some cornbread with the kids down there. So it's supporting kind of what we were as Old El Toro, a horse town. So I hope to see some of you guys down there. I'd like to bring forth and thank bringing the idea that we in Lake Forest have a jail to our northern border, and I'd like to thank staff for working with the Orange County Sheriff Department to bring Alert OC to the people of Lake Forest that would request that. I'd like to see if I can get consensus. It's been brought up a few times, but something that I thought about as I became mayor, would my board or my council, would you guys support me in bringing forth a traffic and parking commission?
Absolutely.
And bringing that forth put it on the agenda so we could talk about how we could integrate that in, and if we need monthly meetings or bi-monthly or quarterly meetings, but just try to bring some more people into so the fact is, the more people being heard from the community and more people that could have our ear that could give us advice of where we should go with that. So I'd like to see if I can get consensus on that.
In fact,
parking and traffic commission.
In fact, Mayor Voight, if I may, to echo what you're saying, I ran out of time, and I kept this for next time.
You ran out of time? We gave you lots of time.
No. I mean, I didn't want to abuse my any more than I already had. But I wanted to actually ask for us to put a traffic commission together, a commission.
That's a motion right now. Do you get consensus for that?
No, but what I'm saying is,
Did you have to say, can I make, you have to go ahead.
Oh, I see. I can go
and
through
then
that. Okay.
ask for
Right. So,
amendment to the motion.
I definitely second you on what you ask.
Now ask for an amendment to his motion.
Can I amend your motion?
You may amend.
A friendly amendment.
A friendly amendment. If I
Okay,
could
then go
supplement
ahead and tell him the amendment.
If I could supplement your motion.
Not substitute it.
Not substitute, supplement.
Friendly amendment.
If I could amend it by requesting that we would look into having a traffic commission of our own, a commission, as Dr. Gardner pointed out, there are so many qualified applicants applied for the planning commission.
Right now, we have a traffic commission. Let the staff work on that right now.
Okay, and what about a commission to put Lake Forest first?
Well, let's bring that back in the next meeting. Right now, we have before us right now.
So traffic commission and what else?
That's traffic commission, traffic and parking.
Traffic and parking.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the motion and the consensus is to put that on a future agenda for discussion.
Not before my mobile home.
Yeah, for a future discussion, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lenny. Thank you.
And with that, I'd like...
Relay for Life this Saturday.
Relay
for Life.
Relay for Life, Lake Forest Relay for Life is this Saturday.
Heroes Park.
At Heroes Park in Geronimo and Los Alisos. I hope to see many of you there.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. It starts Saturday morning and ends Sunday morning. It's a 24-hour event to bring awareness to the threat of cancer. So I hope to see many of you there, too. So thank you very much.
And Victoria Tea at the Heritage Hill.
Closes this session.
Thank you. Thank you very much.